Sorry. It is August 19, 2026. Just realized my mic was not on. It's, the word that comes to mind is insane. Well, that doesn't really fit what's going on. It's 102, 102, and it's been like this for days. Now, okay, feels like 111. I know many of you are experiencing this, and it's really, I don't know, getting on my nerves. It's it just feels so oppressive that it's just pushing you down. You have no energy. Donald Beretta, hey, Kathleen, hi, B Dub, hi, Tony Punch, hi, and Amelia. 60 million people are the face of heat waves. Shit. You know, I completely forgot. I don't think I like, you know, um, my physical health deteriorating, my eyesight deteriorating. And the last classes that I had were similar to this. They're very lightweight. And so that's why I like them. You know, a whole lot of the classes just begin to certainly bother my nose. And I think they're the reason for slight headaches. Okay, but these very lightweight um, are good for me. So I got, I fell. No, I didn't fall. Why am I saying that? Wow, I didn't fall. My glasses fell off my head. I was doing some stretching outside, hit the concrete, scratched the lens. So I went out today to get, a new pair, which they're cheap and they work if you actually bump your number up. I want to stay at 175. I don't want to bump up to 200. So I got the 175, and I've been saying that I have difficulty, seeing that I had to get stronger, you know, lenses. And I'm like, I didn't do it. So in trying to read Amelia's comment, I realized I still got 175. All right, there's a lot to me that you don't know. A lot to me that is really stupid. Okay. And yes, that's the case with everybody. Okay. We have our stupid things. We've got our, smart things. We're just a composite of an awful lot of traits. And it's okay to admit um, all of them. So 60 million people face of heat waves, fires, droughts, floods, and dust storms. Maybe the Great Famine closer than you expected. I think it's closer than all of us expected. You know, uh, uh, things are not good. I don't know if you've recognized. Things are really not good. Yeah. Okay. With everything in life, everything. The economy, oh, bond crisis now, Japan, yen, US dollar, it's going down. Okay. Everything that we've been talking about for years, though an awful lot have, and this is on a daily basis, people experiencing shit hits the fan. Millions upon millions upon millions upon millions have already experienced it. And will it be that suddenly there's a shit that hits the fan, that those who have not experienced it, you all experience it at the same time? Perhaps. Or perhaps it just goes on like this forever and taking more and more out on a daily basis. And unfortunately, that might be what they do because it works. It works. Though, if they want real crisis and suspension of a constitution that we don't even have anymore, um, martial law, that's what they'll do. But if this just goes on endlessly, which frankly, I have a real problem with it because it's just exhausting. Um, but that works because all of the people who are being pushed off the cliff, however it works, the economy, finances, weather, warfare, whatever is going on, they get pushed off the cliff, but they get marginalized. It's only those who are still doing okay. It's like sometimes years ago, I used to think life is really only for those who are doing okay. If you're not, if you've hit that, financial cliff and gone over, whatever the reason for it, you get marginalized. And unless a whole lot speak up, you don't hear from them. That's unfortunate. But so yeah, 60 million, my God, that's just in our country. It's going on all over. Thank you, B-Dub. I truly hope so too. I have emailed Sinclair that gave me the copyright strike that terminated my channel. I've emailed them every single day, every day. Ignored completely. And you want to see what happened yesterday? By the way, hi Andrew. You want to see what happened yesterday? You get really tired when things just don't work out. Like going to the Social Security office this morning. I have to change my address, though I have to say I'm scared because I never want to even alert them that I exist, because I do get scared, that something's going to happen and it's not going to be good. All right, well, I couldn't get there. Why? A tree was down and the transportation guy had his truck blocking the road that I was supposed to take. I've never been there before. I don't know this area. And then he said, well, you can just, go left. Well, okay. Suddenly, I'm in this maze in the University of Central Arkansas. And I'm trying to get out of there. And I'm like, I'm stuck. I was like, okay, this is not fun. So I never made it to that office. I finally figured out how to get to the YouTube strike page to file a counter to the copyright strike. And I have to tell you, you have to put in your full name, your address, everything, your city, zip code, telephone number. And I finally did it because I've been holding out, on these copyright strikes, doing it that way, because I never wanted to give over that information, but frankly, they haven't. So this is what happened. This was yesterday. Okay. So counter notification. This is, no legal or no justification to issue a copyright strike on a posting of a news broadcast of news, slow progress on Waynesville Bridge. repair in accordance. And I think I posted this. This was a year ago, by the way. Oh, a year later, I'm hit with a copyright strike. But I think I posted this because with Hurricane Helene, there were a lot of delays, and there was a lot of closures on Interstate 40, which, wow, if Interstate 40 closes down in North Carolina, in Tennessee, it's a big, big, big deal. So I think that's why I posted it. But yes, absolutely 100% in accordance with copyright law, my posting fell squarely within the parameters of fair use, which allows people to use copyrighted work without permission for educational or informational purposes. And okay, I'm filling out everything. I filled out all the information, contact information, everything. And then what happens? Ay, 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 man. I'm just so tired with everything you try to do now, and it just becomes a real headache. Okay, I put in my real name, my legal name, full legal name. Submit. Oh, well, submit. Not submitting. Submit, submit, submit. Doesn't submit. Does not submit. That's it. Okay. I'm going to try again. But I have to tell you, it's getting really just, it's utter madness. And this is not anything that I ever want to live. And for those who obese tuna hide, and hello to everybody. So for those who have a stable life, it's really important to have stable lives. Very, very important. And if you move, then a lot know that even if it's your choice to move, even if you have, family or whatever that you're moving with, it's still very stressful. And to have a life where you're just moving here, there, and everywhere, your life becomes utter madness because having to change your address, even forwarding, post office, forget about it. It just doesn't seem to work. Forwarding address, it's never worked for me. So, and yes, it's very, important to have all of those things, that you don't have to do anything about. You get mail, in the same address. And that's what you've gotten for years, right? When you're having to change everything, and especially now, and especially with my fabulous experience of virtually everything that I have tried. There's a disruption, there's a problem, there's, it's not working, what the hell is going on? And that gets to the point where you're like, okay, I can't. I don't even want to, engage in life anymore. I'm just too tired. I am very, very tired. Your post office decided to forward your mail elsewhere without your consent. Yeah. Nothing the government does works. It's on purpose. to get you to give up. Yeah, I mean, it's so draining. It is so flippin' draining. Um, you had to end the stream and refresh. What happened? I've had weird things. I have external hard drives, right? So I've always just, you know, you plug it in and then you just go to the appropriate file. Yesterday, in both hard drives, I have another one. Um, my it wasn't on the internet. It was in my files, and it kept clicking off, or it kept clicking to another file, and I was like, "What the hell is going on? That's never happened before." Kind of made me feel like, is somebody in there doing this? You know, to think everything's just going to get worse is like, holy shit. Oh my God. You know, and but with my life, you know, am I moving? Am I not? Am I moving? Am I not? You know, do I want to change the address to here or there or where? It is, it does a number on your brain. You were watching the stream and out of nowhere it ended like it was over. I was so confused, never happened before. Refreshed and you were still going, but somehow the stream just ended. Yeah. Um, so yeah, I'm still, you know, like this decision, at least now, a month to month here. Okay. That's a relief. But what do I do? You know, the problem is, and this has nothing to do with the subscriber in Alabama, nothing at all. I like him, and this has nothing to do with him. Okay. And I feel like I'll be living in somebody else's home. There's no space that I can really call my own. Not, there's a bedroom and separate bathroom. That's not what I'm saying. But it's all furnished and it's all, you know, wallpapered, and it's just too, it's not, I mean, this is not a home for me. It's shelter. Okay. When you lose everything and, you know, you've moved here, all right, I'm going to start, you know, creating a home for myself again because I'm a homebody. And then something happens, and then I have to move again, and then again, and again. You get, no, I can't. You end up having to leave a lot of what, you know, you purchased to make a home. Then you're moving, and you can't bring it with you, and it's utter madness. So, um, and if you knew how I lived, um, prior to coming on YouTube, I mean, years ago, you would see a very big difference. So, yeah, the trust factor. When you have had so many people where you're suddenly, well, in Maine, I was literally set up for yet another drama, and that was her thing. She clearly liked drama. And then I have to leave. Um, Montana, that was over. That whole drama started with my not wanting strawberry ice cream, with my saying I didn't need any jeans, pants, um, because she was going to someplace in Spokane, and there was a great, I guess, thrift store or something. She asked me for my pant size, and I said, no, that's all right. I didn't need any. And something about blueberries, that I didn't go see blueberries with her when there was no date to go see these blueberries. Okay, I understand that you can do anything, completely and utterly innocent, uh, and suddenly you've triggered somebody, and then you're in a drama. And I don't like drama. I really don't like drama. But these people, oh my God, I love you. I care about you so much. I come here. They, all of that bullshit, all of it bullshit. So it scares me now. It scares me to, but I would so prefer, to live with somebody else. Not that I'm interested in, you know, okay, now you have to entertain me and you have to have me around all the time. No, no, that's not who I am. Um, Earlier this morning I was thinking power outage. They had one in Dallas because of the heat. Okay. The power outage is really not good for me. I remember power outages in Massachusetts, and friends would get together, candles, hang out. It was actually a fun time. It's not fun, not alone, not alone. It's very hard. But and that's not true. There are people who don't need their private space. um, Obese tuner. The So yeah, it's real. Like, okay, there are other reasons that I'm having difficulty in making a decision. But man, uh, but here, there's nothing for me here. Nothing for me here except an unfriendly neighbor that is what to do. What will we do? Didn't I write that? What will we do? Um, I do want to read some. Wait, oh, I just want to read some comments, and let's see. And unfortunately, I've not organized them so well. So, it might be that I ask for your patience. Don't read your comment. Come to South Florida. Hmm. Yeah. Okay. And the other thing is that, the place in Alabama is definitely more my speed in terms of, the community. But if you cannot recoup what you've lost, if suddenly your life is just, spiraling down, um, you get to really understand how there's no opportunity for people to get back up anymore. And the losses they're hard to take, because if you can't recoup, then there's an emptiness. Like this place, there's an emptiness. and it hurts. And in that emptiness, you don't have anybody to really talk to, a real close, friend, confidant, and it just sits with you, right? So, you miss the rivers where you used to just plunge when it's so hot. And it would be so unbelievably like refreshing, to say the least. I mean, it was great. That was in Massachusetts. And I had several rivers to pick from. Nothing like that here. Nothing like that anywhere. And the walks in the woods, everything is just different. So, um, if you happen to have somebody in your life that is losing a lot, uh, don't do that thing where you say, well, at least you still have your life. Well, you know, it's gone, so there's nothing that you can do about it, so let it go. Don't do that. It is such a smash in the face. If you can't listen and just be there, then work on yourself and try to get yourself to be there. Um, anyway, the comments, let's. Aww. I know I should have organized this, but I'm too tired. I'm too tired. There's static in the background. Two comments from two different people have left this comment. There's static in the background, audio with voices in it. Listen carefully. Anybody else? Anybody else experiencing this? Can you hear? Why am I being hard on myself? How do you see me being hard on myself? What? I don't understand. Um, okay, so some people hear it and some people don't. Oh, I'm not being hard on myself. I'm just, you know, saying it so that you understand. Um, so, anger is like me drinking poison, hoping you die. And I wrote, damn, then don't ever get angry. Okay, we have emotions, and if you believe in God, right, God gave us these emotions. And it's a full range of emotions. Anger is one of them. Anger is appropriate in an awful lot of situations. But I think what happens is people hear something and it kind of resonates with them, and then they start saying it. And then you have an awful lot of people saying it without really thinking about what they're saying. Now, anger is not a poison. It's an emotion. It's communication to yourself. Something is going on that you don't like. Okay. Now, you want to talk about rage and that just never remits, never stops, and um, out of control, that kind of stuff. Okay. But anger, it's okay to be angry. It is a gift, it is a communication. Our emotions, that's the communication, internal communication to ourselves. This kind of stuff is like at 67, having heard so many, and I also, somebody would say something, and yeah, then I'd say it. You know, I can't think of anything in particular right now, but it's think about what you're saying, especially these things that an awful lot of people say, and then you become part of the masses saying the same thing. Think about it. Now, okay, to this subscriber, I am so flippin' sorry. I am, because this subscriber has really, for years, been going through it and still going through it. Just wanted to let you know, got a hernia on job, lost 6 weeks of work, never got a call to see how I was. Cheers to the American way. A whole lot of people are stuck in a holy shit, like, and they have no one. That's scary. It is scary, you know. And here, people are sick in their head. I was one of the hardest workers, and now my vehicle blew a brake line when I needed it to get the hernia checked. Talk about a world crashing down on them at 61. I'm not only in survival mode, but my future is absolutely done. Thankful you are still doing well. I'm not doing well. I am not doing well at all. So I always find it interesting when subscribers say, glad you're doing well. What does that even mean? You know, I have nothing. How could I be doing well? I have no friends. I have no family. Yeah, you want to talk how much Social Security, which is like, oh God, just under 1,100. I have Treasury still taking out for my student loan. And, also, I think so much about South Carolina when I was beginning to really pick myself up again. Okay. And I was able to save and have a cushion finally, so I wasn't stressed out all the time. And all of that is gone. So it's like, okay, start over again. I can't. There's nothing, I have nothing to start over with. And so it's gotten to the point where I read something like that and I think, now, I don't know who listens to me consistently, who doesn't, whatever, but I'm sorry, and I've said this before. No, I actually live a pretty painful life. I do my best with whatever I have, which is just me, but no. So it's also important, and I'm not talking about subscribers who can't, for whatever reason, listen consistently, and maybe they heard it. But those people in your real life, if you know that they're hurting, and you know that they're really having a hard time or whatever, don't say, well, I'm glad you're doing well. Because you're telling that person, oh, you haven't listened at all to me. You haven't noticed that maybe I'm not doing well. You haven't. It's important to recognize other people's reality. it's important, so that we don't have this, it's kind of like a, wait a second, I thought you knew, but maybe you don't. I'm not talking about the subscriber, but it's really important. Okay. Um, the night of my outrageous comment could be I was just basically triggered, not only from my situation, but how people use the books behind them, uh, set up to seem smart. No, I only trust those I know. And you are someone that I know. Maybe only in the cyber world. But talking and being around for so long, yeah, gives me that view. Thank you. Okay. Hope the cats are good. They are. The cats are good. You haven't been around in a while. Okay. Um, if I didn't lose everything, if I were still, you know, uh, back in Massachusetts, even though I lost a lot, I still have my books. You carve out an office for yourself, and I loved my books. I love bookshelves. It's not because I want to seem smart. It's because they provided a comfort, and not having them, I have a few left over. Very tiny box of books. That's it. But it provided a comfort, and it was a resource. A whole lot of the books were related to psychiatric medications and other things, but it was my resource. Oh, I forgot something. You go to the book. All right. So, um, but this isn't the only subscriber who I've seen comments, and it's like, I don't get it. You see books in somebody's video, and you think that that's an ego. They're wanting to seem really intelligent, so they have to. No, they have their desk, they have their shelves. That's generally what an office looks like. You love your books too, and schlep them to so many places. Yeah, I did, and then I had to give it up. Good for you. Don't ever give up your books. Yeah. Um, so, you know, um, however, somebody perceives something. Okay, well, that's how you perceive it, and no problem. When you kind of come off really aggressive, that's when it gets to be a problem. So, but, I want to say thank you for writing, because I was afraid that you were gone. And I don't want you to be gone, because you have been a subscriber for so long, an incredibly supportive subscriber. All of your comments have been so wonderful. Please don't go anywhere. Don't go any. We can have a slight difference of opinion on something that doesn't matter, and also maintain our cyber relationship. Um, it's. I'm just so sorry that you're having an awful time. So many subscribers, you know, um, are having a really hard time. And another one, she lost everything in the Paradise fires. Her cat too, and has been, well, just recently has been trying to find work. Can't find work that will actually afford her a life. Not wanting luxury, okay, she's now living in somebody else's home and she needs her. She's one of those who wants her own place. And everything is just becoming so flippin' difficult for people. And, when you think about the rents and you think about there's like no work, and it's scary, and I get scared for them. But she's not the only one. He's not the only one. So many now. And your credit card bill would be 2 times higher if I wasn't visiting the food pantry weekly. Food pantries, please, 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 please. And I have to say, if I can still stop my car, and give something to a homeless woman, you saw the video, but it's not just her. I mean, I can't not. I can't not. Okay, so if I can do it, I know that an awful lot can do it. Your community food banks are really hurting, and they need help, and they need donations, along with the animal shelters. So, and if you fall into the place of, holy shit, I need help, you'll want access to that help. You will want, to know that there are resources out there. And right now, man, food pantries are so overloaded with food, it's surreal. Oh, do you visit everyone in the country? I don't think so. There was this food, wasn't like a pantry, and they got a lot of food from Costco, the stuff that they couldn't put on the shelf anymore. And talk about overload, but it was all GMO produce, and then breads, right? And I'm looking at this and I'm thinking, wow, there's a lot, but nothing that I could really eat. So, and I don't know what has happened since. So there are some food pantries that are flush, but there's an awful lot that are not. So don't think that because you're experiencing something, everybody is. No. Pronounce your R's. When I get really tired, I kind of slip back into my New Yorker self. So is this anybody else noticing that I'm not pronouncing my R's? Let me hear from you. When I saw this, I laughed. I thought, oh God, I am really tired. Now, here, another one. What is it with the voices and the static in the background? Hard to concentrate on the video. I don't know. I listened to some of the video. I couldn't hear anything. There are times when I'm really tired and I do slip back to that accent. But it's not anything that when I read something about me and it's the truth, it's fine. Even if it's bad. If it's the truth, it's fine. What I get pissed off about are people who leave comments that it's just not true. And that's what pisses me off. Who gives a shit about E. Jean? Carol. The reason why I posted that, Trump, the Supreme Court saying, no, we're not going to reconsider, the amount that you've got to pay for your sexual assault on E. Jean Carroll. Okay. The reason why is because it's just who Trump is. Okay. Well, Supreme Court has ruled, but I'm going to ask them to reconsider because I'm Trump and who these judges? I'm better than the judges. And it's just yet another, so you being Trump and the president, you get to do whatever the hell you want to do where everybody else in the country doesn't. I was just pointing out how revolting is an awful lot of what Trump does. But I was also, and I said, who's paying for all of these lawsuits? Taxpayers. Okay, another. I must be out by end of this month. All right. Now, because she put it in the chat, I'm going to say who it was. I don't like, certainly if I'm going to be reading something personal, even though it's posted, in the cyber world publicly, I've always now for years and years just taken off the names, but L. I must be out by end of this month. End of this month, which is coming up, which is right around the corner. Okay. What is going on? I don't know. And 2 sons. Okay. I just wish that there was something that we could have done over the years, that we could have had some kind of kitty, A lot, I think, had to do with trust. I said that I would absolutely do it. But also because I have my little bitty Social Security. Well, now it's just Social Security, but it was disability then. And if it could have been somebody else, but I didn't know who to go to, right? If somebody else would start, like, I don't know, a PayPal, try to get, some donations in and really begin to get enough where if subscribers are hurting, that we could help out. But putting it in somebody else's hand, not knowing who that hand was, I couldn't do it. Hell, somebody else posted and created a GoFundMe for me, and I didn't even know that was happening until she got like $500 and then told me, and then took out like $5,500, $5,600 of the GoFundMe when I desperately needed it. So who do you trust, right? Who? Tell me. And that's why I'm so pissed. That's why I'm so unbelievably pissed that we have gotten to the point where you can't trust anybody. And then you'll hear from people who will say, it has nothing to do with Americans. It's all government or whatever. No, it has a shitload to do with Americans. Because there's an awful lot who lie, awful lot who steal, awful lot who betray, awful lot who create drama. They don't care what they do to somebody else's life. So I just don't know. I really, I don't know what the circumstances are, so that's important. But if L comes in, you know, try to acknowledge in the comment, in the chat, what she's going through. We are supposed to overtake our government when this happens, so what are we doing? What are we doing? What are we doing? What the hell are we doing? Nothing. But she's right. I think it's a she. Absolutely 100%. You need to hold people accountable when you know that they're lying, especially when those lies end up hurting other people or hurting other, sentient beings. We are to hold people accountable. But there's so many scared little kitties out there that, well, if I hold anybody accountable, they'll think that I'm somebody who is bad or aggressive or, what's the word I'm looking for? Confrontational. Oh, dear Lord, if somebody thinks that, whole lot will not go there because they're little kids, traumatized little kids. Can't do that. My social network will disapprove. That got us right here, what we're living. Last week, the nights were cooler than before. Days still hot, like 36, 39 Celsius. Last week helped friends. We started at 9 a.m. and it was still cool outside. But pretty much between 9:45 and 10:15 every day, I felt it suddenly get warmer. Right. I can feel, not now, but I spoke of, was it yet or 2 days ago? Boom, the winds show up, the thunderstorm. And for, I'd say, 10 minutes after the thunderstorm, it was like, not the sky was still gray and white and whatever, but when we used to see, oh my God, it's so beautiful, that deep, deep blue, remember? And the humidity would be gone. It was like a cleansing of the atmosphere, and it would be so much cooler. The humidity was gone, and it was so much, it like dropped 20 degrees, and I loved it. And then about 10 minutes later, I could feel it. I could feel it beginning to rise again, the temperature. So, yeah, people can actually feel the temperature. And it's, look, we're living in a gigantic microwave now, saturated with these frequencies. So think of a microwave. Oh, we're going to increase the temperature. Think of a microwave. Yeah, and a lot of people can feel it internally. And sometimes with this heat wave, they're a little confused because they don't know, is it internal or is it external? Yeah, kind of heat frequency. Absolutely. Now they can use the frequencies to create these heat waves. And I have to wonder if this is what I've been experiencing here in Arkansas. The temperatures were brutal in Arizona. It was but something's different here. Is anybody else experiencing like the heat definitely is different this year? You're in Hudson Valley. Oh, I'm so envious. Yeah, humidity every single day, which is not really what we experienced up there. Not New York, Massachusetts, Hudson Valley. I was in Great Barrington, the New York, Connecticut. Yeah, never. There were like 2 weeks of a heat wave. It was at the end of August. That was it. So to have been seeing the temperatures in the Northeast, it's been what? Unbelievable. So I'm New Orleans humidity is ridiculous year round. I'm just wondering if somebody is experiencing this year the heat, especially differently. Oh, oh, it's 103. It's 103. Yeah. Um, yeah, and this is what you get. This has zero to do with the American people. It's Israel, DC, Pentagon, central banks. Yeah, it has nothing to do with the American people. We are just fabulous and great, and they're doing all of this to us. We had, you know, a whole lot, I remember years ago, everybody was talking about, we're going to win. We've got the Second Amendment. Oh, well, I guess you let that pass, right? Um, Not holding anybody accountable for all of the evil that has been taking place in this country, only getting worse and worse and worse by the year. Sorry. That was up to we, the people. Some people understand the connection, some people just don't. Oh, Carol, when you brought back, drove to Texas considering living here, I was so happy for you. It didn't work out. It's no, it doesn't matter where I go. Um, it's my life has been thoroughly destroyed, and not being able to get back to my familiar, that was the last nail in the coffin. Um, yes, I do deflock groups in my area celebrating the cancellation of flock. I frankly think flock, because there are so many companies offering and contracts with states and cities and local government, and it's not flock, it's other companies that have surveillance um, devices. So this whole flock, 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 flock kind of supersedes all of the others. So if your area decides, okay, we're not going to contract with Flock, or we're not going to continue or renew our contract, you got to check out if are they replacing it with Axon, Axon, which is up here in my area, right outside, this apartment. New Orleans has, I I'm a little hesitant to say that New Orleans is really, you know, surveillance on steroids. And I think they do have flock, but they have other companies, so they just pile it on. Um, so, and I think a lot of people, I didn't even notice. I did not even notice because everybody becomes so um, like trained to see flock, with their camera and their solar panel above it, that you don't notice. And all of the headlights, all of the street lights, I mean, have been changed. They're like new. Now, did I see anybody doing any of this? No. Did I, how new is it? I don't know. But you can tell the street light, all of them are new, but they have their little surveillance hub on the back, on the top of it. So, yeah, people have to become accustomed to seeing all of the surveillance devices. Oddly, everyone I know who took the jab has shown no ill effects or change in behavior. Well, that could be that they got their lot number, which was essentially a placebo, versus the lot numbers of other vaccines that were actual vaccines. I think a lot of people know that, right? You know that there were different lot numbers, and there were, I guess only the lucky ones got the placebo lot. Yes. The amount of animal cruelty I have been seeing has really, my entire life up until, I don't know, a year ago, never heard that I hate someone, in my own brain. Never had that, it was not, I would think hate is so like huge. And, there was, I didn't have hate. Now I do. Now I do. And I want to see everyone who commits any kind of animal cruelty, that their punishment is to experience exactly what they did to the animal. They get to experience that exactly. So I think this pertains to the woman who had all of those, were they Australian shepherds? Just so covered in feces and so matted and so, oh my God, it was so disgusting. Yes, I'm in complete agreement. The owner should be thrown in a room full of pee and feces for 2 years. Yes. I don't know that this animal cruelty in our country has been going on forever. Ever, ever, ever. And it's only gotten worse. Our animal cruelty laws are so lax. Enough, all right? Enough. A whole lot. Well, we have jail time for you, but we'll give you a suspended sentence. You'll do community work. You'll pay a fine. Really? Not good enough. Not at all. Money is the root of all evil. It does not have to be. It really does not have to be. This is another thing. You hear something, a whole lot of people also believe it and say it, but it's not true. There's a lot of people with money, and they are not evil, and they actually help people. So we can't take on, just, well, everybody says it, so it must be true. It's not. Now we have very few people who have a lot of money uh, and are not evil, but they can become evil for sure. But there's something else working in there, and what is working? Our fabulous culture. It's about bullshit. It's, oh, talk a good game and all of the values and the principles that you have, but you don't live them. What you live is the pursuit of money and materials and that big home. And oh, wow, the more I have, the more people are jealous of me. Ego ridden in a bad way. That's what then brings them to that road of, the further, there's two roads. Everybody gets to that fork in the road. A whole lot of people, I think, miss it. They don't have the awareness that that's where they're at. So there's two roads: good, evil. The longer you stay on that evil road, you're not going to turn around. You're not going to turn around. That's the road, and that's your direction. But the same is true for good. You keep, working on yourself and changing your behaviors, and you're on that road, and you get to a point where it's you. You can't reverse it. So, and it's not money per se. It's that ego. It's never becoming mature. It's not raising the consciousness that, it's just part of, being alive, being human, and doing that work that is so critical. Learning who you are, maturing, and, becoming a better human being. Who do you know that does that? This is the final war between good and evil. Unfortunately, evil wins, and they are destroying the whole earth. Okay, and I see comments from people, oh no, evil's not winning, evil is destroyed in the end. Okay, how do you know that? Oh, I think the Bible tells you? Well, how do you know that that's fact? We don't know. And that evil, it should have been destroyed by the good soldiers. I know that belief, which is not fact. There's a big difference between belief and fact. So a whole lot of people have this belief that in the end, evil will be destroyed and goodness will abound. Okay. Do we have to wait and wait and wait and wait and wait? I guess so. That's not fun. Okay. B-dub. And I don't know how people, reconcile that kind of belief. We don't have to do anything. Jesus is coming back. With the Lord's Prayer that a whole lot of Christians say. Our Father who art in heaven. Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy, not yours, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Bringing heaven to earth by doing God's will. Very few do God's will. Very few. So they speak that prayer, okay, but they don't really acknowledge what it is they're saying. They're supposed to be bringing heaven on earth. Sorry, but big fail. Evil doesn't win in the end. It's like you read the comments and like, oh, evil loses in the end. Okay. Evil doesn't win in the end. A temporary victory. Okay. I don't know what the victory is, but evil ones are destroying everything that God made, but God will be destroying them in the end. We're supposed to be destroying them. Wait, and God is not up there somewhere. God is inside you. But a whole lot haven't really done the work necessary to actually feel, and you can call it whatever it is that you want, higher consciousness or God or whatever. And suddenly you recognize, oh, that compassion and care that I thought I had was that thinking I had it was bullshit, because it's something that just comes about. It's kind of like a force on its own. When you do that work and raise your consciousness, you begin to recognize, holy shit, I was bullshit. And now it seems like there's some genuineness in me. Okay. So I a whole lot have this idea that God is somewhere up in the sky, personified God, and eventually he's going to come and destroy them. But he's taking his time. He's like, okay. No, I'm sorry. There's no God that would allow the enormity of suffering that we have going. Sorry. That's one hell of a cruel God. So, oh, and then he will be burning this place down. Oh. So he too is going to be burning the place down? We have enough burning of the place. Okay? Enough. Evil never wins and will never win this war. You're sadly mistaken. Okay. We're going on things that are not fact. And anybody who claims to know, that all of this is just going to be destroyed by, some personified God who, I guess, finally, I don't know, wakes up, hello. And if there is a God and I see him at the pearly gates, and I have a lot of questions for that God. Okay? Lots. And guess what? If there is a God, and I see him at the pearly gates, and he actually created me, my hunch is that he'll smile. You did become who I created. Yeah, you were destroyed in the process. Okay? So, evil is winning, hands down. Hands down. A whole lot, because so many in the world, not just our country, have beliefs. And they sit back and do nothing based on those beliefs. So many don't give a shit. A whole lot, well, I'm going to vote for the right person. The meek will inherit the earth, and the four-legged. Another belief. Meanwhile, the meek are getting pulverized, are getting so flippin' destroyed, getting knocked down every single day, struggling, trying to survive, and hello? There's no inheriting any earth. It's just that we have We have an awful lot of people who have never done any work on themselves. They're still, no matter what age, no matter how many wrinkles, they're still little kids. They're still immature. They're still, you know, believing things that allow for greater manifestation of suffering. There's still an awful lot of people who I just have to believe, and that's all. And Jesus is just going to, welcome me into heaven. Okay. That's unfortunate. That belief allows people to live their life feeling what? Good, and never do anything for, you know, anybody. Now, I'm not saying everybody, but I am saying a lot. Fear is your only God. Um, oh, the origin of the word God means commander, not creator. Wow. That's interesting. That's very interesting. I'm going to have to check that out. Okay, so I'm going to get going. It's already, my God, 2:45. Holy shit. Man, that went fast. Um, Sometimes I just have to come on and talk to you, just talking. And so, what are we going to do? Come on, man. So many people are really freaking hurting. Um, can we not figure out something to at least help subscribers do something? If here's your homework, think of things that you can do and then leave a comment in the chat. All right, guys, I'm going. And I do want to say that, oh, I didn't, oh, I'm not even going to bother. Um, wow, what a lineup for 5:30. Very interesting stuff. I hope to see you at 5:30, and do your best, do your best, do your best, and help those that you know are hurting. Extend yourself, because if you don't, and you wait to be asked, you're on a power trip. Just consider it. All right. Ciao, guys. See you at 5:30, hopefully. Okay, good. It is 103. All righty then. Bye. Wow. Mm-mm-mm.